what's going to happen on the day after the election, Yakov. A lot of the spin doctors, the pollsters, the liberal media, they're going to wake up and find out they made a very big mistake. And I'm going to tell you why. Simply because they have not factored in one major faction of America. And that
Before that, Mr. Cox,
I beg pardon?
are you confident that Mr. McCain would be elected on the 4th of November?
Nobody can be confident that an election can be won, nor can the pollsters. A poll is good. The opinion polls are excellent for people that are looking to run for office and identify issues and maybe demographics. But there is no poll, believe me, and I've had enough years in politics to explain very clearly what I'm saying. There is no poll, opinion poll, that can be taken that will say when a person enters the voting booth that they're going to pull that lever for a person. When they get into that polling booth, the voter, they think of a number of things, and they find out all the question marks surrounding the person that they're supporting or not supporting. And when you have an economy like America today, and when you have troubles throughout the world like you have today, there is no way possible that especially the evangelical will go in and pull a lever for Mr. Obama.
What about the other Americans who are not evangelicals?
Well, you know, those Americans have been reflected in the polls, opinion polls that have been taken thus far. But there's still, as CNN, Fox, and the others have said, there's still 15% undecided voters. And when you couple that with the millions upon millions of evangelicals living in the southeastern United States, if that silent majority does the same thing that they have done in past elections, go to the polls, that's what's going to make the big difference. I have not written off John McCain simply because of these polls. The spin doctors would have me to do that. But I know better because I've been there too many years.
And the pollster did not count the evangelicals?
I don't know of any poll that's been taken thus far looking into the evangelical Christian community. People that will not ever pull a lever for a man who, number one, is in favor of same-sex marriage. Number two, people who do not value life. Number three, people who are
because Mr. Obama is pro-abortion.
You know, there are different opinions on pro-abortion. I'm saying that the evangelical community in America are vehemently and passionately opposed to a pro-abortion. And they will not pull a lever for it. And they have proven this election after election from Ronald Reagan all the way up to George W. Bush.
What about the other factor, which you didn't mention, Mr. Cox, the racial factor? White men will hesitate before pulling the lever, as you put it, and voting for Mr. Obama.
Actually, Yakov, I don't agree with that philosophy. I don't think this is a racial thing. I believe that the American people are going to look at the most qualified candidate that can run the government of America. You cannot put a person who is untrained in the seat or in the pilot seat of a 747 and say, bring this plane to a safe landing. You cannot put a person who has absolutely no experience, less than 2 years experience in the United States Senate, into the White House, in the Oval Office, and say, we want you to take us to a safe 4 years. And our allies have just as much to lose, and Israel has just as much to lose as America in this election, should John McCain not be elected.
And he is also, I mean, Mr. Obama is an Afro-American. This is also a factor. You cannot ignore it. You are an American, Mr. Cox.
Mr. Obama is an icon that's been made by Madison Avenue. Mr. Obama does not have the experience necessary to become president of the United States to make major decisions. Mr. Hussein Obama does not have a relationship with the international community. He's never been in a position of having to make decisions. He's never been a director, a manager. He's never directed any type of organization whatsoever. John McCain has proven, without question, leadership abilities, who can work with both members of Congress, both the Senate and the House. Obama has never done this before. We need a president that has the skill, the knowledge, and the diplomacy to be able to work with other leaders of America, but not a president who says he will go and sit down and talk with a known terrorist like Ahmadinejad, who has vowed the instant he gets or his country gets a nuclear weapon, that he is going to destroy, annihilate Israel, wipe you off the face of the map. There is no evangelical that's going to vote for that man, and there is no place in the White House, in the Oval Office, for a man like that.
There was a time, Mr. Cox, when you worked for former Secretary of State, Mr. Colin Powell, and he's a prominent Republican figure, and he endorsed Mr. Obama, the Democrat.
Well, I did indeed run his presidential campaign, draft campaign. The Colin Powell that I knew is not the Colin Powell that is of today. When I was managing that campaign for Colin Powell, we could not get the black vote simply because they felt him to be, they'd call him in America, an Oreo, or a person who was not necessarily one of them. He is not going to make any difference, regardless, in the Obama campaign. Now, Obama has already said, I'm going to use him. Now, instead of being out to pasture and having nothing to do for the next 4 years, he's going to have something to do now. I'm very disappointed in him, to be quite frank with you.
What is your forecast for the 4th of November?
I am only positive if, and I put that big if, the evangelical community throughout the southeastern United States that has elected and defeated people running for president, if they will get up and go to the poll and vote, I am confident that we will have a president by the name of John McCain. If they do not, and they look at those polling numbers that the spin doctors are putting out, and believe those numbers, and they stay home, then I will have to say I was wrong.